Well, it's Friday, October the 11th, and today we're going to do the update for Hurricane Milton as it affected us here in Lakewood Ranch. And I wanted to give you an update because I've had a lot of clients and a lot of people watching on YouTube wanting to know how we fared. So we weren't able to get this up yesterday. We had no internet and no phone signal, but today things seem to be back in working order. Although in our area here in Country Club East, we did not lose power. So I think we were of maybe 15% of the area in Manatee County that didn't actually lose power. Let me give you an update of what I'm seeing here in Lakewood Ranch and what has happened in our area. Hello, it's MarkBoehmig, Michael Saunders and Company. So I wanted to come back and do a follow-up update and show you a couple of the things that I talked about in the very first video when they first announced that Milton was coming and was going to be a direct hit. So this is the first direct hit that we've had in over 100 years, and I feel very, very fortunate that we're here in the Lakewood Ranch area because Siesta Key and Sarasota, the barrier islands, did not fare as well. There's a lot of boats that are up in people's yards. There's boats on the streets, and so the storm surge played a big part. Now, because it came in at Siesta Key, it produced a tremendous amount of rain in the Tampa area. They had up to 2 feet of rain in Tampa, so I think that the issues that they had there were the flooding, but not so much from storm surge, but from the actual rainfall itself. I don't think that we had that much rain here in Lakewood Ranch. I think that we probably had about 5 or 6 or 7 inches, although the pond level in the back that I had showed you previously has gotten quite high. Let me show you what I'm seeing. So I think you may have remembered that I showed you the culvert that was down at the end of the pond. Well, you can't see it today because it is up over that level. And you can see where the water level came up to. These pitch apples did a really good job of taking the wind, even though they've seen better times. And then we only lost one panel, or well, actually 2 panels in our lanai area, which I had thought that might happen. And then I think you might have remembered the magnolia that I told you would probably come down. It came down, as well as one on the other side of the property. As you can see, it's down there leaning in the water. We feel very, very fortunate here because, like I said, we did not lose power. And I think that our wind speeds were probably up close to 100 miles an hour. I know that they recorded 102 mile an hour winds at SRQ Airport and 106 down in the Sarasota area. So both of those areas took quite a beating as far as the actual wind speed, and I'm very surprised that this lanai cage here did not lose more than a couple of screen panels. Our neighbor to the side, as you can see here, has lost more screen panels than what we did, and I think it just depends on maybe the age of the screens and how well they did in the last couple of storms. The silver buttonwood tree here in the front was tipped over from the storm, and yesterday a nice client slash neighbor came over and helped us put it back up. So it was just laying straight on the ground, but we were able to dig it out and restake it. Now, there's a lot of debris on the streets, but that's just typical. You can see that neighbor there, their tree snapped in half. But we have lots and lots of debris that is in the community. Gotta wait for traffic so I can get out into the street and show you all what's going on here in the neighborhoods and around the Lakewood Ranch area. We still have some water coming in the drains from the pond because the pond level is so high, and it goes down and drops into this drain. I have an idea it's probably because of the exit height of the pipe that goes into the pond. A lot of the signs were knocked down, and we call this nature's tree trimming because there's a lot of debris that came down out of the trees. Now, very few palm trees actually fell because the palm trees typically take the wind pretty well, but some of the other trees, like my silver buttonwood and some of the magnolia trees and things like that really took a beating. So when a storm comes, they open up all the gates to make sure that there's free flow of traffic for emergency vehicles to come into the gates. They don't want the power to go out, and then all of a sudden the gates can't open. So they're very conscious about having that done. Now this is Masters Avenue when you exit out of the gates of Country Club East. Masters Avenue held up pretty well. During a couple of storms ago, a couple of years ago, we had quite a few trees that were down here on this stretch, but this time we lost a lot fewer trees, and I think it all has to do with the wind direction, how it comes out, from which direction it comes. So this one started from the east, and then after the eye passed directly over us, then it came from the north. So it was incredible to see the eye it get real quiet when the eye came over us, and then the wind direction shifted, and then it bent the trees back in the other way. So they took quite a beating, but I will have to say we are very, very fortunate in Lakewood Ranch to have surpassed a very big issue with this hurricane. The people along the coast, Sarasota, Siesta Key, Punta Gorda, because of the storm surge, did not do as well. So I feel very fortunate that we are about 15 miles inland, and I think I mentioned in our previous video that our elevation here is about 47 feet. So we wouldn't really have storm surge issues here, but we could have flooding issues just from a volume of rain standpoint. So the rain was not as big on this particular event as they had up in the Tampa area. As you can see, a lot of the signs are down through this section. Looks like we still have some power outages here where the police are helping monitor the traffic flow, where we have areas that are not being able to use the lights, and so they are monitoring the traffic. I think I also mentioned that I was fearing a little bit more for Country Club West because of the large trees that they have in here, thinking that we might have more damage than what we actually did. While there are a few trees down, it's nothing like what I thought could happen with these large oak trees. It almost looks like Mother Nature just came in and did her own trim job on these trees. But I think the country club itself fared pretty well as did most of Lakewood Ranch. The cleanup process here will be pretty simple because we'll have all the landscaping trucks come through here and gather up most of the debris, have it chipped and mulched, and then taken to the appropriate landfill facilities. Our hearts really go out to the people that are along the coast because they had all of their belongings out on the street from Helene, and now they've had this next wave of water come through, so I'm not really sure how they're going to handle all of that. I have heard that you have to make separate claims for each individual storm, So I'm hoping that they can get that rebuilt and put back like it was, because it sure is a beautiful area on Florida's Gulf Coast. This actually looks even a little better than what it did after Irma, because there was more trees down here in Lakewood Ranch Country Club. And as you can see, one of the debris trucks is already in here picking up the debris. So they're not waiting here. They're getting it done now. So we're going to go on 44th, which goes along the front of Esplanade of Azario and then the back of Lorraine Lakes. A lot of the fencing was down in the last hurricane, so we're going to see if that holds true for this one as well. Oh yeah, I can see the fences are down. You can't put 100-mile-an-hour wind on a solid piece of PVC fencing and have it not come down. But like I've said a couple of times already, we are very, very fortunate that this is the most damage that we have, and this is just what I'm seeing. Now, I don't know that people don't have trees down on their houses or anything like that, but I'm not seeing a lot of that. But I did see actually a tree down on a lanai cage in Country Club East. But those things are very superficial and very repairable. So the last hurricane that we had that was of significance with a wind event a couple of years ago, Lake Club had a lot of trees down, and I'm not seeing that as much on this particular one. So I hope this gives you a good idea of what it's looking like here in Lakewood Ranch after Milton. Now, it's funny, I think that maybe Helene was a precursor because we had never seen storm surges that came along Anna Maria, all the way down to St. Armand's, Longboat Key, Siesta Key, like we had in Helene. So when this new storm, Milton, came along, only 2 weeks later, people had a very vivid memory of what a 9-foot storm surge looked like, and this one was predicted to be larger than that. So I think a lot of those people got off of the islands and got out to a safer place, and so I think that that was a very big helpful event, unfortunately, that helped us save a lot of lives and made it so that people got out safely, because there was a huge evacuation from the state of Florida, as I'm sure that you've seen on the news and all the other media. So anyway, I hope that this video has proved to be a little bit helpful to you and having a little bit of comfort of how we survived the storm here in Lakewood Ranch. And like I said, I think being 15 miles inland makes all the difference. Mark Boehmig, Michael Saunders and Company. Look at that poor tree. If it had taken those two, it wouldn't have anything but that spire in the center.